Hi! Do you enjoy stories of content creators who turned out to be evil, lying scum, getting exposed and witnessing their downfall? Because if so, you're in luck with today's video, because guilt has been weighing down on me, and I feel I have to come clean and confess my greatest crime. Today I'm going to tell you the story of the time I pretended to be a pro fighting game player and get profit off of this lie. So our story takes place years and years ago. I want to say maybe like 2018, 2019, roughly around that time zone. I wasn't long out of college. I'd been hovering between small sort of retail jobs, trying to find my footing in the world. Specifically, I had dreams of wanting to get into the creative industry, and even though I am known for my work as a video editor today, at this time I wanted to be a photographer. It was actually what I initially studied in college, funny enough. But one day a great opportunity came. There was a very small little place that was looking for a photographer. They wanted someone to come into a kids club that they were running over the summer. The photographer would come in, take photos, and kind of like put together a sort of news article. Sort as they wanted to do an article covering what they were doing at this club. For context, the goal of the club was to teach kids about game design. They would come in, they would work on developing games, and they would have a little break where they would play video games. And the idea was like, you would play video games for fun, but try and learn something from it to put into your own like game design. So it was all good, it was fine. I came in, I would take photos, I would do the quote-unquote interviews, trying to like get the thought process of the staff and their goals, and you know, the kind of vision of how the kids were feeling about the club activities. All quite good, but this isn't why you clicked on this video. So, eventually, a few days in, I'm sitting having a quick lunch break, because we usually had a sort of like mini lunch around about the time the kids started playing games. And the staff were kind of low on this specific day, so they asked me, they're like, you know, some of us have like important stuff to do. You, photography boy, your article editing can wait. Go play video games with the kids and try and say stuff to make them actually think about game design and whatnot. Okay, and I'm like, okay, I'll try my best, I'll try and do that. And on this day, the kids were playing some Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So I come in and, you know, they sit me down. It's like, okay, play the game, say some smart sounding stuff, and I'm like, okay, I am somewhat familiar with fighting games. If I just throw out enough fighting game lingo, maybe that'll count as me being educational and sounding smart. So I sit down with the first kid, we're playing the game, you know, he's playing Captain Falcon, so, you know, I make some comments, I'm like, oh, I see, Captain Falcon, rush down, yes, you want to definitely rush in as fast as you can and put on the pressure. That is how he plays neutral. And the kid just looks at me like, what's a rush down, what's a neutral? And I'm like, cool, okay, now I get to sound educational. So I'm here, I'm like, yes, well, you see, you see, young'un, rush down is your character's game plan style. You gotta rush me down, you gotta be fast getting, bam, quick attacks. And then I'm like, neutral takes me like a kid. I was just like, you know, it's like the spacing, you know, focus on trying to get your hits in and move around so that you don't get hit or punished back too badly. Very, very bad basic explanation of neutral, I know, but like I'm trying to like get kids to understand. Please bear with me. But yeah, the match happens, it's all good. I win because I'm a jerk that bullies people by being a Bowser and Kero main. And we go into the next kid. And the next kid's quite excited, you know, he comes out playing Simon and he's like, oh, tell me about my character, And I'm like, yeah, okay, you know, Simon, you know, you're a zoner, you got focus on throwing a lot of projectiles and trying to keep me at bay, keep me out of range. The little kid's mind is blown, like, whoa, I'm learning so much about my character, wow. And all the kids who are in the line and watching, right, they're getting all excited, right? This becomes the new hype. Everybody wants to learn about their character. Everybody wants to get info. Like, we eventually devolved into like kids asking me about matchup knowledge, which, look, I ain't really knowledgeable enough about Smash Bros to know about knowledge of matchups. But you know, I tried to like give a little bit of wisdom, you know, and like, okay, well, this character has a strength, weaknesses, how you could maybe play better. And even, you know, we even have kids, you know, complain about Kero and the super armor, so I explain super armor to kids, like, yeah, the super armor activates, you do hit me, but my attack just barges through, so you flinch and I don't, and the kids are like, oh, I see, they're learning something. So, you know, we'll have a good time, I get to bully some kids and then go back to my work. Now, at the end of the session though, you know, I'm wrapping up, I'm getting ready to head home for the day. And before I head back, I hear the manager call out, and he's like, "Excuse me, Unleashed, can I have a word with you in my office?" Uh-oh! Stern manager has put on the big scary stern voice and asked me to meet him in his office. I don't know what I've done. What might be... What did it? Did I bully the kids too hard? Was it because I kept winning all the matches and I kind of hogged a lot of the games? I'm like, oh my god, I'm fucked. You know, I'm cooked. So I'm marching there and I'm like, he's gonna like kick my ass out here because I bullied kids or something. I'm getting it now. But no, you know, as soon as I go in the office, he's like, so overheard some stuff you were saying to the kids today. You definitely seem to know what you were doing, and I'm like, well, yeah, you know, it's a fighting game. I know a thing or two about them, you know, knowing the lingo and whatnot. And he's like, yes, I had a feeling about you, and I'm like, oh yeah. And he's like, you're one of those pro fighting game players, aren't you? And look, just. I don't know if it was nerves or just out of instinct. I just nonchalantly went, oh yeah. And then this is when the manager's like, look, interestingly, he's like, look, we were almost done with you for the photography work. The article's almost done and we don't really need you for that much more. I was actually going to talk to you about saying we were done with your services after the following week or so. But, if you're one of those pro fighting game players, maybe we'd keep you in for the rest of the club's duration. You could, after your photography work's done, you could come in solely as a fighting game coach of sorts. That might be kind of cool, and we would pay you for it. And it's like, yeah, you're a pro fighting game player, you know, you'd be up for that. And I'm like, yeah, I'm absolutely a pro fighting game player. I would be more than happy to teach the children my professional wisdom. You know, like, you know, it's like, oh, I'm sure this might dig into their schedule of preparing for tournaments, and I'm like, oh, I'm sure I'll make the schedule work. I can prepare for my tournaments and do the coaching at the same time. Totally. Look, judge me what you want, but I was a guy scraping for jobs, struggling for money. I saw an opportunity and I took it. And things continued pretty smoothly. As I said, soon enough I was no longer needed for my photography work creating a news article, so I would just pretty much go in solely during the time they were playing games. Go in, we'd play some games. Usually it was Smash Ultimate, sometimes they just have me playing Mario Kart with the kids. But usually, you know, Smash Bros, I'd just yap on fighting game lingo, pretend to be the pro, and all was good. But then, a week or two later, a trial appeared that I had to overcome. So, it was one day, like any other, and I walked in, and the manager's there. And he's looking at me with a big smile on his face, and he's like, Unleashed, I have a great idea. And I'm like, oh, okay, sure, what is it? It's like, we got something new for the kids to play, and I think you're really gonna love this. We got one of those Super Nintendo classic collections, and it has Street Fighter 2 on it. That's the fighting game. Every pro knows that one, surely, you know, it's that popular. And we're gonna have you teach the kids how to play Street Fighter. And I'm like, oh, cool, yeah. Now, dear viewer, I would like to share a little fun fact about myself. I barely know anything about the Street Fighter series. My only experience was playing a tiny bit of Street Fighter 5. So I'm looking at this corner where Street Fighter 2 is set up, and I know I'm gonna have to bluff like I've never bluffed before. And it started out fine. We go in, kids are wanting to play Ryu and Ken, and I'm like, that's cool. They're the Shotos, I can explain that. And it's like, okay, Zangief, Grappler, I know that. Gale, oh I know he's the charged character, you know, funny Sonic Boom Man. It's all fine. And then kids start coming in and they're playing characters like Vega. I don't know what the fuck Vega does, I'm just like bluffing. I'm like, oh well, I can start describing this character to you when we get into the match. It's easier that way to really feel the flow of this character. You know, I see a bit of gameplay and I'm like, oh okay, I think he's a rushdown, so I just throw out the rushdown lingo and the kids disagree. They're like, oh yeah, he knows what he's talking about. And then, you know, we've got a kid who's like playing Dawson. Again, I don't know what this character does, so I'm looking, I see the limb stretching and I'm like, he's one of those, he's one of those, like, a poking character, yes, poking mid-range character. You gotta, you know, go in and out of your jabs, and people are like, of course, thank you for the wisdom unleashed. Now, funny enough, after this day, I went to talk to one of my friends who was very experienced with Street Fighting, and I was telling him this story. He was in stitches, and he told me especially that I was so wrong about Dawson. That kid that wanted to be a Dawson main, his career's ruined, in shambles. He is just playing that character with the biggest misconceptions. So, you know, somewhere out there, I ruined a kid's life in Street Fighter, and he's playing the worst Dawson known to man, and it's all my fault. Hi, by any slim chance, if you're the child who was told that Dawson was an in-and-out poke character, hi, it's me, your beloved coach. And I apologise deeply for ruining your Street Fighter career. The laughter didn't sell it. I'm sorry, but it was kind of funny. But besides that trial, I would go on to do more quote-unquote coaching for Street Fighter, the Smash Bros coach, and the occasional Mario Kart for fun, and all was well. Well, there was one incident where I was actually questioned about if there was any tournament footage of me in action. I just redirected them to like a YouTube VOD of one Undernight tournament I was in once. Because like it was a very casual thing, but I won one match in that tournament, and the person who put me into losers bracket was the guy that ended up winning the tournament, so like it made me look kinda good. It seemed to make the staff there really buy into my story. But yeah, besides that, it was mostly smooth sailing. But surprisingly, our story doesn't end there. You see, about a year later, that same manager got in touch with me again, and he had mentioned that a different group that he'd known were in the midst of trying to do a fundraiser and think up some fun event they could do that, you know, could get in some money. And this good old manager had spread word to this group post of, you know, oh, a year ago we had this pro fighting game player who was a real nice guy, maybe you could get him in, maybe we could do some sort of like, beat the pro player kind of thing. So, you know, they passed details along, and I got to talking to the person in charge of this like group fundraiser thing. So they were a very similar group. I don't know the full details honestly, but they were a very similar deal of like kind of kids activity club thing. And obviously I was talking with them and we were planning stuff out. Now at the time I was like highly obsessed with Tekken 7, so you know, I was like, okay, if we're gonna do a beat the pro player thing, I was like, yeah, we should do Tekken 7, because you know, I wasn't too bad with King, I knew my combos, and it's like, okay, I could probably get some easy cheesy wins with that. But apparently the guy did not like that, and he was like, nah, this is a bit too violent, isn't there something better? and we were talking, discussing like different options. And you know, I kind of threw out, you know, showed some images of BlazBlue, and he's like, yes, this is amazing, a cartoon fighting game, that's perfect for you and perfect for the kids. Now, despite what I think about BlazBlue being called a cartoon fighter, I decided to just play along, and I'm like, oh yeah, cartoon fighter. You know, I've got quite a few of these. And we have a spat about some suggestions, and the guy was like, okay, I'm gonna like take some images of the games, I'm gonna show them to the kids at the club, and we're gonna let them vote on what game, and we'll get back to you on that, okay? And I'm like, okay, fine. And from my understanding, the vote was between BlazBlue Central Fiction, Under Night In-Birth, and Guilty Gear XR Drive 2. And I guess apparently the kids really fucked with Guilty Gear, that's what they wanted to see, so I'm like, okay, that's cool. And I was given about like a week's heads up notice, so I'll be real, that week, that was the 1 week in my life that I labbed, and you know, those of you who know me in my fighting game habits, I don't lab, I just kind of go on and push buttons, but no, I wanted to try and bring some sort of level, because I don't know who's coming to take on this like Fight the Pro Fighting Game Player Challenge. I want to be at my best for this, going in and practicing Leo and Slayer like I've never have before. So anyway, the day comes and I go in. I arrive a bit early for setup when we're downloading the game data on the PS4 and whatnot. And then, you know, I'm invited to sit down, you know, I can have tea, you know, with some snacks and stuff, that's good. And apparently, as well as the event, it's like there's a bunch of kids there. It's like, oh yeah, kids are going to be around, you can do matches with them. And well, we have the people who come in for the event to pay for the matches. As I'm chilling, a horrible high screech noise hits my ear as a small child just comes up to me and screams right in my ear, "Excuse me, Mr. Fighting Game Player, do you like Poppy's Playtime?" You know, I feel the ears ringing, I feel assaulted, and I'm like, okay, damn, no, I don't vibe with Poppy's Playtime, but yo, thanks for the enthusiasm, but you know, how about indoor voice next time, okay? They wanted to yap on, they're like, oh my god, Poppy's Playtime is so great, Huggy Wuggy is the best, and they're like dangling this like Huggy Wuggy like plushie in front of my face, and I'm like, annoying screeching child, if you decide to play a match against me, I'm going to absolutely beat your ass. So yeah, the game boots up, you know, the kids who want to play the game, they have some matches against each other, I get in and do some matches with them, and I absolutely slaughter them. Funny enough, I did get a little scared because obviously they say stylish mode, they ask about that, and you know, the kids are like, oh, we want the easy way, and I'm not gonna lie, I still beat them easily enough, but there was one psycho kid who played stylish Potemkin, and it almost had me a little spooked. I was literally saved by the fact that kids do not know how to block in fighting games, and that was my one saving grace. But yeah, we did that, and you know, we did have a few people come in, you know, they came in, they spent £1 to challenge the fighting game player, and the whole deal was like, you would get, I forget the amount of money, but you would get like a nice big money and a free sandwich if you could beat the pro fighting game player. And I remember the manager of this group was like, hey, no pressure, we really don't want to be handing out money and sandwiches all willy-nilly, so we're really hoping that you don't lose a lot. No pressure, no pressure. But thankfully, you know, I'm guessing all the people that came in were just random people just wanting to try their luck, because a lot of these people didn't really play the fighting games over that well. There was no unworthy opponents to a professional such as me, so it ended up quite smooth and easy, not going to lie. And at the end of it, I got payment. I apparently was given a little bit extra because I went the whole session without a single loss, so you know, that's you know, nice and generous, you know, my totally real talent being recognised. And you know what, I even got some free sandwiches, which I mean, sure, I guess these are the free sandwiches that were going to be given away if someone beat me, but yay! That's neat, I guess. And so the confession is done. You all now know my great tale of me being a fraud to earn profit and a few free sandwiches. This isn't my usual kind of content, but if you made it to the end of the video here, you know, thank you for watching and hearing my silly tale. You can consider following me either on Twitch or here on YouTube to catch more of my silly shenanigans. And yeah, thank you for watching.